Well, guys, welcome to Conversations in American Democracy. Fortunately, Merrill cannot be with us today, so I will enjoy the open forum conversations like we always have. We are right at the precipice, the edge of Christmas and the holidays, so I hope everybody is taking a moment to appreciate the reason for the season and practice empathy and gift giving and reach out to your neighbors and others around you to check on them, see how they're doing, see if they have needs. We all know that we are the only source of help for the future. The government, the state, the city, the county, the courts, none of them are coming to the rescue.
So Granny is over 18 years of age. Do we have your blessing getting Granny a new pair of slippers? Because Fox News apparently doesn't want Granny to get her slippers.
Absolutely. In fact, get her 30 pairs of slippers.
How about buying a real tree? Can we do that too?
Yeah, absolutely. Buy whatever you need to do. Because it's a time to appreciate and feel for things that are going on. Because that's what Democrats do.
I did think that there was one promise of an upcoming present that excited me.
Yeah?
Yeah, it seems that in last week, Kristi Noem had a fiasco with Congress. Mm-hmm. And since then, House Representative Della Ramirez, who is, I believe, from Rhode Island, demanded that Noem either resign or face impeachment for disregarding the law, misleading Congress and the public, misusing congressional appropriated resources, disregarding court orders and legislative oversight, citing 107 U.S. citizens detained by immigration agents. At least 15 of them were veterans. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as a possible present coming up to me in the new year, to see this woman impeached and out of the administration did cheer me up a little. Mm-hmm. Not as much as my Christmas tree, but it did perk me up a little.
Oh, good.
What will they do without a dominatrix?
Oh, they'll come up with another one. He likes the little cute little girls to send out there. Come on.
So welcome. Thanks for taking the time to come and join our conversation. As always, please leave comments. If something is said or you have a passion about, we'd love to hear from you. And as we start today, we want to take a moment to send best wishes to Merrill's wife, who's not feeling very well this time of year, and we know that we hope that she gets better. So Curt, you got anything for the
I just wanted
Constitution?
I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm bringing a practicing Muslim to the Democratic Party. I mean, he wants to come, he wants to join. And
Great.
And I just didn't want to blindside anybody. Is that all right? I didn't think it would be a problem for any of you.
No.
But
In our America, all is welcome at this table.
well, Lafika will love that.
And I'd like to point out it was a Muslim who stopped that
Yes.
in Australia,
yeah.
where they were machine gunning down whole families.
Actually, they weren't. They were using old bolt-action rifles. And
So
that shows you how warfare changed. In the very fact that repeating rifles was one of the main reasons why people stayed behind fortifications rather than moved en masse toward any object. But that shows you just how old bolt-action rifles, how effective they are against people that are basically defenseless.
Yes.
Well, a bullet is a bullet
A
That's
bullet.
it.
is a bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, constitutional, what you got going for us
Oh,
today, Curt?
I got the 14th.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
The
boy.
14th
We
Amendment.
got 2 hours? Here we are.
Let's go.
Woo! Okay. All right, so you know what this one's coming to. All persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
There it is.
Yeah.
Every person,
Right.
the legal, read that last section?
Protection.
Legal protection under the law.
Law.
It said
Immunity.
any person in the United States. It
State.
didn't say citizen. It said any person
Within its jurisdiction.
within its jurisdiction. So all of these people in all those concentration camps all over the United States now,
War crimes.
bull. It's not war.
Well, it's a crime. It's not a war crime.
Yeah,
The
just
only
a crime.
war crime happening isn't on Pennsylvania Avenue.
There's more.
Oh, God, I said you got hours?
Now, does any, I'm sure you've read it, anywhere in there, does it mention a time period?
No.
No,
Like
No.
people born before
Nope.
no.
1700 or?
They tried to use it against the Chinese. They swore it would never happen
Exclusion
again.
Act of the Chinese.
Okay,
right?
and you should listen to Rachel Maddow's new program about the Chinese and what we did and how they
Burn.
tried to hide it.
Is it
Burn,
burn?
it's called burn order.
Burn
Burn
order.
order.
Right.
Yeah, they tried to get rid of all the evidence.
So anybody going to court saying or inferring that the 14th Amendment was only meant for certain people of certain race and or time span within this government would be in error.
Well, on that very point, it's very, very interesting because it would be the very same people that would call themselves originalists, who say, we have to go by what it says. We can't interpret the intent when this was written. So the other way, what they want now is they want to go back to the intent of that was for
Well, then let's
slaves.
lock up
They don't
Clarence
want to. They don't
Thomas.
want to look at the wording. They want to look at the intent of that, but not when it comes to guns. Now they want
There's
to
what I
look
was
at.
about to
So
go.
you know, it's just interesting to see how you can take one side of that or the other depending
you go
upon
back to
what
originalism.
direction you want to go in.
So they want to argue the intent based on well, who would be the originalists though?
Originalists,
The
we would
first-
be, on this one, we would say this is what it says. It says, we would be the fundamentalists on this one. We're going by the word. We can't figure out the intent.
Can't,
So this
because-
is what it says, this is what we have to do. So now we're the originalists. Oh my God.
Slippery slope, huh?
Yeah.
If you
Crap
read-
tells-
Double-edged sword.
Just like we're the
Yes.
conservatives now, and
If
the
you-
Republicans are the crazy liberals.
If you
Trying
read-
this, trying that. That's what liberals do.
If you read-
Conservatives are the ones that say, hold it, wait,
That's not what it said.
slow down. Yeah.
Kathy?
Laura Littman's book, Lawless, which is the January read for the Progressive Book Club, okay? I'm waiting to hear from Jan about which day we're going to do it. But it's going to be Lawless, okay? I'm almost through it. It explains how they take these two theories and they go between originalism and this other theory and how they go back and forth between the two, even though the two do not speak to one another, okay? And how they are going on vibes. I don't think they're going to overturn the citizenship, which they've agreed to hear now, okay? But the voting rights one that's coming up, and the rest of the redistricting, you forget all those people that are gonna
So,
go.
Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act,
Yeah, they're gonna get
that's
rid of it.
gonna go.
Yeah, they're gonna get rid of it.
But how could you do that after just reading that?
They don't consider that that this relates to one another, okay? They're just looking at this piece. You know, and now that they're dismantling all of the regulatory agencies, which by the way was Gorsuch's mother's job
Right.
in Reagan's administration. She was supposed to get rid of the EPA.
I know.
Now that they are going along and dismantling all of this government bureaucracy, that means not only are you going to have the government and your doctor, but, and the insurance company, the government and the insurance company between you and your doctor, just think about having Scalia decide how much of TECP, which is a chemical used in dry cleaning, which they
Yes.
now know has caused Parkinson's disease, okay? How this man with no scientific background, no understanding of biology or science, he's going to decide how much of that should legally be
acceptable.
allowed in your water, because by getting rid of the regulatory agencies, if Congress doesn't specify a specific percentage, it's up to the court. They are taking the power of everything but the executive branch, and if Trump keeps going the way he's doing, they're gonna be cracking down on some of that.
It's amazing how they fall on that side when it's humans. But as you mentioned, look at the amendment that covers the right to bear arms.
Yeah. Yep. I was kind of.
Nobody can interpret that anything other than, oh yes, you can have any gun you want, every gun you want. And they have loosened, like you said, the regulatories, because in what world do you need a quote-unquote suppressor, AKA silencer, for a weapon?
But it is, I find it interesting that there are guns that are not nationally agreed legal for citizens to have. For example, the automatic weapon.
Yes.
In all 50 states,
Semi-automatic.
semi-automatic's legal.
That's what I'm saying.
I said automatic.
Automatic.
You
Full
said
I'm
automatic.
talking-
illegal.
Are illegal in all 50
50
states.
Correct, yeah.
So the interpretation, and I have this conversation with Second Amendment people all the time. You believe that you have the right at any age to have a weapon and it's in the Constitution. But can you have an automatic weapon? No. Can I have a bazooka? Of course not. How is that different than restricting semi-automatic AKs or
Yeah.
those kind of weapons, which is what? They back away from the conversation because they realize consistently, just like what I think they're going to find with the 14th Amendment, words can be interpreted based on your bias of what you want it to say. The difference between the originalists that are interpreting it or someone that is trying to decide what was the intent of the conversation. And those are great conversations that we used to all have. Didn't matter what your religion was, didn't matter what your politics were. We would discuss and figure out what's best for the people. Now that's not happening.
No.
And I love the information. You guys realize that the Trump administration just signed a executive order controlling all of AI nationally. Well, the week before, our governor signed a law in the books that said the state of Florida is going to regulate and control AI. Completely conflicted with what the president just did. And then DeSantis came out the other day and says, I don't care what the president says, I'm running the state of Florida, and this is what I'm going to do.
Now, aren't we heading down?
That
the
is an
pathway?
interesting conversation of where the states step up. I do believe in my heart that the Supreme Court generally are trying to give power back to the states, including election issues, because the Constitution doesn't talk almost at any level about elections. It's all done by the states. They make those decisions. And the differences from state to state of how you're registered, when you can register, what kind of information you need to vote is all over the place. So it's an interesting time to discuss at the Supreme Court level decisions that are going to happen and how that's going to be affected. And what scares me the most is one day, maybe tomorrow, they'll make a ruling or say something and Trump administration won't follow it. Once that occurs,
Yeah.
you now have open chaos and you have a constitutional crisis in which, you know, as a policeman, your authority is what you rely on to get other individuals to stop what they're doing and pay attention to follow the rules. If nobody acknowledges that authority, then you're not going to slow down when you're speeding. You're not going to obey any of the rules.
And what a ripe time to be doing this, because, you know, this whole administration has done everything in their power, directly or indirectly, to undermine the authority of the people's, you know, faith in the courts and in the Supreme Court in particular. So it's
Yeah.
a perfect time to be doing that.
Kurt?
Just in my lifetime, that I was taught geography and what we have today. How many races are there?
No, that's a very controversial concept.
Well, it's only been controversial in the past. We've now come to the point that there's only one race.
Yes.
It's the human race.
Human
Right.
race.
Okay, but it's not been accepted by everybody, and the originalists don't accept that, you know? They accept the fact that Chinamen are Chinamen.
3/5 a citizen?
Yeah,
Or-
how can you do that to a real person, you know? Dred Scott, that whole business is just horrible. But the originalists, those are the guys, these are the guys we're still talking to.
Well, an
The-
originalist would take all these immigrants and make them into slaves and have them work for nothing, okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of immigrants, I ordered presents for everybody, but they aren't going to be delivered till tomorrow. So I'm hoping that when you come in January, you will all take one. I bought a whistle
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
for each person. I bought a
thank you.
massive bunch of whistles. Even if we don't get to use them in Palm Coast, if you don't happen to be around when they are picking up somebody from a building site, the fact that people start walking around
With them.
wearing whistles
Right.
sends a message to our local government that we don't support what they are doing by assisting ICE.
But with that being said, I think we passed the constitutional point. Everybody keeps talking
Crisis.
about the constitutional crisis. Didn't we pass that with Obrego? U.S. citizen, detained, deported, denied due process,
And he's back and they want
and
to
with
free
a
him.
judge's order with them to stop movement and bring him back, they kept going. So
And
this
then when they brought him
consti-
back, they
They
made up
detained him again.
some other charges for which no proof was ever offered.
Right.
Okay? And now the judge has said they gotta let him free, but I haven't heard that he is actually
I
free
think
yet.
He is, he's
I
free.
think he's out,
Yeah.
but that should have been well, actually,
When he was in
no.
the Green Card, he wasn't a citizen, I don't know.
But according to 14th Amendment, he
He
was,
had- Denied due
He
process.
was denied due process, right off of Jump Street. That should have been constitutional crisis 1. Actually, number 2. Number 1 should have been freedom of the press when AP was thrown out of the White House. That would have been the first constitutional crisis. So I understand people arguing, well, you know, he really hasn't crossed that threshold.
He crossed
No,
it.
that threshold has been crossed.
So a question for you then, from your police background.
Yes, sir.
When does someone become a lawbreaker? At the point you witness it, or at the point it's gone through court and convicted?
If it
Because we have an innocent till
Proven guilty.
convicted, which we know is more words than truth. So if you, or you're the Trump administration, and you have no guardrails, and you sweep up people without warrants, and you
Yes.
hold people without due process, or fly people to various other countries, are you actually guilty of anything until you have been prosecuted and found?
Until I am prosecuted and found guilty, I am innocent under the law. I have not, as a law enforcement officer, I see you commit a crime. I detain you, start the procedure to arrest you. You are innocent until you are brought before a judge, your case is founded, and you're found guilty of what I saw you do. So, in theory, he is innocent of everything until he's brought before court and tried and found guilty.
Right.
Same with the guys on the boats off Venezuela.
Right.
We don't have a death penalty for drug smuggling in the United States. Those guys are capitalists, not terrorists.
Absolutely.
Right. So
They're
what-
alleged.
Well,
Yeah,
you see the pictures of the boats. Those
Yeah.
are drug boats. I mean, I've spent my life. Look, I know my team. I know my team is always saying, "Oh, they never found any drugs.
Yeah.
These are just poor fishermen." You don't string 4 300 horsepower outboards on the back of a little local fishing boat.
Maybe I wanted to catch faster
Yeah,
fish.
okay. Those boats are clearly drug boats. They're also clearly not threatening the United States, and it's not the death penalty to deal drugs in the United States. So how do you say, kill that guy?
You can't. That's, in my mind, there's 2 crimes. Number 1, yes, they may look like drug boats. They may be drug boats.
They're drug boats.
Until you bring them to me,
Yeah.
demonstrate that, hey, here's the boat, here are the drugs, here are the guys. I process them through the legal system.
Exactly.
They're alleged drug boats with alleged drug runners.
Every
You-
single time things like guns or drugs are confiscated, I remember always seeing the police department laying them out, proving, showing, these are all the guns, this is all the bags of drugs. We're not seeing that. What's happening? They should be showing us, look, this is why we're doing it, and we'd all go, okay, you're right.
Well, if they're sinking it at sea,
Well,
if they're blowing up those boats, there's
Then there's no proof.
well, ask yourself
There's no
this.
transparency.
And I agree with that they would be destroying any proof that there was drugs there, but that doesn't seem to me so illogical. That you know, you bust a guy in New York City that has a warehouse full of drugs as opposed to blowing up a boat off Venezuela. There are differences in being able to
Well, let me
collect
see
the
this.
evidence. But to me, just one second, Ken,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's a drug dealer or not. We have due process. That's the basis of our country. That's what makes us different than everybody else.
And this
That
is
life,
only the
liberty,
things
and the
we
pursuit of
know
happiness
about.
is God-given.
Okay, don't tell me that some of those people have been pushed out of helicopters or airplanes, okay? Think about Abu Ghraib. It's not like we have a blameless history, people. These are only the things that have come to light so far. Do you really think this administration is so prissy clean that they haven't done some of that?
Well, that.
You're pushing it, Kathy.
Yeah. But if you look at the entirety of these subjects and you ask yourself, they have, without request, shown every attack, missile attack, whatever weapons they use,
Almost.
of every boat, and released it for everybody to see, then all of a sudden, the second attack on the very first boat is now top secret. When it's identical, probably except for the two individuals hanging on to the side of a boat and waving, asking for help or whatever, and we obliterate them. It's about, for me anyway, it's about the transparency of the facts that are presented, and you have to ask yourself, they just so easily show us every attack of every high-speed motorized boat to say, look, we killed 10 more people. And then when the first attack had to be redone, they don't want to show anything. And that is the question that we as citizens and voters and the people that actually put these people in office, like our representative, who is saying, no, we shouldn't show any of this to anybody, to ask, if you're going to do transparent, then be transparent. Show it completely.
They don't want it, their biggest fear, they don't want any of these guys back in the United States. That's their biggest fear, okay? They want to kill them. They have sent some home to their own countries. They're not going to bring them here, because if they come to a court in the United States, the lawyer that's representing this guy in the United States is going to say to the prosecutor, under what authority did you bomb this boat?
Well,
And they're going to have to say,
Back on
they're going to have to say, we're at war with the narco-terrorists, and the defense is going to say, no, you're not. Only Congress can defend a war. You attacked somebody without authorization. They don't want that discussion in an American court.
What scares me is that they think they could do whatever they want, and they are doing whatever they want. And that frightens me more than a lot of other stuff that we're talking about. They could fire anybody that goes against them, and they're doing it. And Congress doesn't have the...
Balls.
Gravitas?
Cojones.
I didn't want to say it, but you're right.
Yeah.
Right, to do anything.
Well, we've seen
Morals
them-
would be
we've
a
seen
good
their
word.
behavior-
Morals, ethics,
Yeah.
do anything.
We've seen their behavior in front of Congress people.
At
and they
best,
just
when they're
refuse to
asked a
answer.
question, when the Congress people are asked a question, they'll circle around the
They never
answer.
answered it.
And they won't, and then they'll walk away.
And they get away with it.
Or
And
crickets.
they'll get away with it.
Christy
no
Nome last week,
Yeah, that's
during
why.
that, she said, I got a meeting to go to, and then the chair, the House Speaker, whoever's, oversight the guy that did the January 6th, he said, that meeting was canceled after she walks out the door. So why are we not going after her in the hall and saying, get your butt back in here, lady, you're not done? I don't understand.
Yeah, they could have sent somebody.
Why
to
everybody
bring
just
her
kind of
back.
goes, okay, well, we tried. Is that what it is? Is it all theatric? Is
See,
it all
the
performative?
Democrats-
It is the
The
argument.
Democrats-
That's all it is.
The Democrats get on news and they talk and they say, well, this isn't right, but there's nothing being done.
Well, they threatened to impeach her, and
There's
they do
nothing-
have enough to start an impeachment on her.
There's nothing being done because there are no checks and balances.
Balances.
Now, Mussolini is a perfect example of this. He didn't get in power for very long, just like Trump. And what did Mussolini, we're all drinking Italian coffee now, because what did he do? He attacked Ethiopia. You can go back into history and hear it. And it ended disastrously, eventually, for Mussolini. You know, he never won that war, and he lost a lot of people in Ethiopia, and then he came back, but it's all about power. This is why he did it, because he could do it, just like Trump. Without checks and balances to stop these guys, they think they can do anything they want, and they are, aren't they?
The Supreme Court told him he could.
Yeah.
I have one that relates to this, but it's tangential. You may or may not have been following this one, but I thought this one was particularly interesting. I'm going to usurp Kathy's position from reading from the telephone for a moment. Kathy, I promise I'll give it right back to you after I read this one thing from my phone. This was from November 19th, about a month ago. And this is a quote. The claims that the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas, nooses, or other extremist imagery as prohibited symbols are categorically false. These symbols have been and remain prohibited in the Coast Guard per policy, and display, use, or promotion of such symbols, as always, will be thoroughly investigated and severely punished. The Coast Guard remains unwavering in its commitment to fostering a safe, respectful, and professional workplace. Symbols such as swastikas, nooses, and other extremist racist imagery violate our core values and are treated with the seriousness they warrant under current policy. Admiral Kevin Lundy, recently appointed by Trump, acting Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. Yesterday, they downgraded swastikas and nooses to be potentially divisive.
Yes.
Potentially divisive. Now, I try and get my head around the process where some guys sat around and said, yeah, this prohibition against swastikas, that's too much. We have to let these guys have a swastika once in a while if they want one. So what was the discussion? I mean, how did it go down? I'm trying to get my head around it.
I can tell you this much. That discussion in Germany, from the time that the U.S. won the war to today, is you display a swastika in German country, you are going to jail. End of story. They zero tolerance for that. How we have gotten to a point where, well, it's just divisive, I do not know.
Well, they don't have the aggressive freedom of speech.
Neither do we,
Well,
apparently.
Theoretically.
we have it more robust than Germany does.
Yes, definitely.
But that's an ongoing manipulation of groups that the Trump administration and our president, by mandate, has the authority to set these kind of policies within the military. But another thing popped up, and I wanted to ask your opinion on this. We've all heard what weapons of mass destruction are, right? They use that as a reason to go into the Middle East and to start a war. Yesterday, the Trump administration declared fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. What do you think their thinking is? What do you think their motivation in doing that is?
Well, think about it. If you need to follow the footprint of the last conflict that we got into the Middle East, remember the phrase yellow cake?
No.
Yellow cake was
Is low-grade radioactive material.
Okay.
which
It's been a while.
Can be made into, that's what goes into the centrifuges
Yeah.
that produces high-yield, weapons-grade material.
and apparently Saddam had more yellow cake than flipping cake mix. which we never found,
Right.
but that was good enough for us to go into their country. That was the grounds of it. So if you make fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction, you can slide around Congress by saying this country now has a weapon of mass destruction. I am taking acts to defend our nation against the said weapon.
And which country are we getting fentanyl from?
Well,
Colombia.
Not Venezuela.
Mexico.
Sir,
He wants to go there.
Are you sure it's not in Venezuela?
Every talking head that I've heard said cocaine
Cocaine.
is coming from Venezuela, and fentanyl and the precursors, which are the chemical makeup components, our nurse would help us with that, are actually being combined and put together in Mexico.
Okay.
And Colombia.
And
I thought it's in China.
I thought
no,
China
the
also-
precursors come from China.
Yeah, right.
But they're mixed and made. And so, and the reason that I present this is there have been and continue to be a war on words between the U.S. and Mexico
Right.
and the Trump administration, because I purposely try not to tie one man's words and goals. I believe it's a much bigger goal or team, if you will, is that they're looking for a reason, my words, to go into Mexico.
Well, they're creating a reason.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just like they're trying to create tensions in the cities and create, tension points, which then they have more authority to go in and settle it.
They're going after cities that have black or female mayors of those cities, okay? And that is so that if you're a Democrat, you're gonna worry about voting for that person. It's another form of voter suppression, but it's a deeper, behind the scenes kind of voter suppression.
Or insidious.
I was looking for something that he mentioned, and when I was looking for it, I came across this. I'm going to turn the sound up because I was shocked. It's one thing to take a Christian pastor who's praying for you and shoot him in the forehead and have it videotaped. It's another thing, people, to take on the Catholic Church. That is not a priest. That is a freaking cardinal, okay? If you don't think the Pope is going to hear about that one, he's taking ice on face to face.
Well, the Pope has spoke
Yes.
very
Clearly on his position,
strong
But-
on his
thought.
unhappiness with how poor immigrants around the world and in the U.S. are being treated because it's not following the teachings of that religion.
Of any religion. I mean, there isn't a country in this world that's running around with masked people and building their own little private army to suppress the citizenship.
No, I think the Taliban have been doing
Well,
that in
they're-
Afghanistan
I meant-
ever
I
since we
Hamas
left.
has been doing that.
Who?
But they,
Hamas has
Oh, yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and, we have a president who's not only ignorant, he's a liar, he's a felon, his hubris is unbelievable.
He's also-
Absolutely
he's
unbelievable.
also
We
insane.
aren't gonna be able to hold
You
our
left
head
that
up
out.
Yeah.
He's insane.
in the world
He is.
for another
Very
50
mental.
years after this debacle.
Well, to be quite honest, in my opinion, once we get past this, and we will get past this, and he's out of power, and this administration is corrected,
And the Supreme
We're gonna
Court is
spend-
gotten rid of.
in our, I don't think in our lifetime we're going to be able to correct the damage that we've done to our educational system, to our medical system. There is going to be lives lost from some of the decisions that RFK's making, this administration as far as the economy's making. There's going to be a bleak period.
Oh, really bad. I hope I
And
live long enough to see him gone. Though.
yes, I hope you do too, but even after he's gone,
And the rest.
think about the resources, the knowledge that we have lost. That gap will never be replaced.
No,
We'll be
those-
starting from ground zero again.
Those scientists have moved on to
They're done.
European universities, okay? The brain drain of doctors, okay? Look at the shortage of doctors in the southern states. I wonder why that is, okay?
And not to mention what you were just saying. Our reputation throughout the
gone.
world
It's gone.
is now damaged because we tout our democracy as this is where all countries want to be.
9 more.
How do we go back and encourage countries such as Ukraine, who's still fighting to have what we have, that we won't help, to join us in democracy?
After this happens,
Why
a
would anybody
clear,
want- Believe
simple
anything he
goal
says.
has got to be articulated. It must be, because I think that the nations, at least if I was in another country watching this play out in a format such as this with a bunch of people who are curious about it, I would be as interested in the struggle to get back to it and maybe get better in the process.
We need to hold a
Why would
national
anybody
strike.
want to be like we are right now? Why would any people outside the United States want to be looking at
No, they're
us
not.
with what's happening? With
They are
what's
not.
happening? Why would they want to be like this?
I mean,
Well-
if Germany can ban the swastika as vehemently as they do, that to me, and I could be mistaken, please correct me, could have superseded where they were before World War II in their commitment to humanitarianism. And perhaps, if there's a concrete, simple goal, that we all agree on, bipartisan, everybody, this is, where we need to get. How we get there is going to be messy. But maybe we can be better than we ever were through this horrible firestorm.
I-
Are you
That's what
you
Merrill
suggesting
was
that
about.
we,
How many
that
people
we?
Don't pick at me.
No, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Are you suggesting that we do something like, making it criminal to display a swastika?
Maybe a Confederate flag.
I am suggesting things along those lines,
Yeah.
like shoring up.
Okay,
Shoring up some of the things that we.
As a Jew who was offended by this article, I disagree with you vehemently. I think that this is the military, under the control of the government, that says it's okay for you to show something like this in a military environment. I think that's horrible. But as far as you as a person who say, I'm a Nazi and I want to march around with a flag, go do it. Because I think the best thing that can happen is a group of people like us will go out and discuss and say, you believe what these idiots are doing? And we have to do something to
And
go
the
up against those
German-
ideas. But the idea of,
Coast Guard is
but the
not part of
idea,
the military.
it's
Homeland Security.
Security,
The
but
German-
it's
It's
still,
under
it's still,
Homeland.
It's the Department of
it's
Commerce.
a government
Hold on,
agency.
so we got too many
One at
conversations
a
going.
time.
I would agree with that.
Right?
I would agree with it, that you shouldn't outlaw anything. You shouldn't outlaw
No, you
any
can't
kind of
outlaw a
speech.
thought.
I
You
understand.
What
can't
you want,
outlaw
what you want is the
speech.
people are gonna say, I am not gonna walk around representing that,
Right.
but you can't
German-
And
outlaw
I'm
it.
not
Problem
necessarily
now.
talking about that much specificity in my own mind. What I'm trying to just bring to the table is the goal-setting aspect of it.
And it's
I've
not
always said it
working in
about
Germany.
education.
It's
It's
not
like
working.
every year, every 5 years, they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I kept saying, look, what parts of what we're doing are working? why are we throwing those out as well as the ones that are not working? Why are we not setting a 5-year goal and making approximations towards that? It seems in our country, we have got to this, boiling point of nobody can agree on anything, right? What does it mean to be, what are the values that we all agree on? There's gotta be some common ground amongst us. And with that said, those things would be what would help to articulate our common goal. And then we move towards that possibly. Because I can tell you right now, we're not the only people in this country that are saying this divisiveness, what's going on right now, this is not us. I don't know many people in this country, or I can't imagine there's many people in this country who believe in their hearts that this is what it looks like to be a citizen of this country. Do
But
you?
unfortunately, it is us. Unfortunately, it is us who we are now. It's not who we were.
But is it only us? Isn't it a human condition?
Yes.
Don't we have
Rami
this
Malek in
DNA
Nuremberg,
imprint that makes us
Came back to the
afraid?
United States.
of anything different?
Basically to say that Goering is no different than any one of us.
Right.
And he wrote a book saying all that, and the book was trash. Because we had to feel that we punished the Nazis.
We all have the capacity for this. It's on our DNA. Before people had the kind of technology that we've acquired through the thousands of years, the people that lived on the mountain would kill the people who lived at the bottom of the mountain. Why? They look different, they speak different, they smell different, they eat different foods. They're different from me, they're different! I'm afraid. But then through evolution, I hope, and civility has brought us to a place where, like when people say, "Oh, I don't see color. I don't see your blackness." You know what? Yes, you do.
I
but
would
the
like to
thing
believe
that
it's evolution. I don't think it is. I think we were at a point where we could be rational individuals.
Yes.
That was concerned for other people more than ourselves.
that
Because
overrides that initial. I got to kill you because
instead
you
of
might kill
acting
me.
emotionally,
That's right.
you acted
Intellectually.
intellectually and logically. What has happened is we as a people have devolved to the point that we now can motivate people financially to hate others for my benefit. And if I can start a fight between all of you while capitalizing on that, that makes me better.
And I'm not maybe
That's
talking,
giving me a
I'm-
mindset.
I may not be talking biological evolution.
No.
I'm talking more like civic evolution. I hope that we've come somewhere.
And-
Yes, and the pendulum swing, we go back, right? But then
Hopefully.
hopefully it swings a little bit farther next time, right?
Germany.
Just as bigotry is a learned experience,
Right?
Yes.
not being a bigot is a learned
Learned
experience.
experience.
You have to fight it.
And it's in the
You
civil
have to
vein.
fight it.
Yes.
And you can't legislate it. Germany has tried. Germany is in big trouble right now.
Yeah, they are having
Because
trouble.
the
I know, I
way
haven't seen
they
that.
wrote it, you can't, they have to have, that Nazi sort of thing has to reach a certain amount of power before they consider it a threat. But once it's got that amount and it's getting close, okay, then the problem is, well, if that really represents a third of the population, how can we then outlaw it?
Yeah.
Because we're taking away their rights. So they box themselves into a mess
Sure.
over
Sure.
there. One of the other bright spots that I read this past week, though, is that NATO countries actually have something that they can use economically to start putting a little noose around armchair, okay?
Good.
And it has to do with AI and the stuff that NVIDIA needs to produce the chips that are about to uproot everything we know about modern life right now. But, and they are getting ready to use it, okay? Because they are really unhappy about the way they have been treated and how we are treating Ukraine, how we have treated them, and it's related to the Ukraine thing, okay? And they are getting ready to use that.
I just think that, and what I'm proposing is not that I see an absolute answer. I think that back to how we started the conversation, the framers knew that this was going to always be evolutionary. This was an experiment, right? Were we even supposed to make it this long? But we have. Is it clean? Nope. It's dirty. Is it neat? No. It's messy as it can be. I don't understand why people are so afraid of that, right? They're so afraid of it. It's like parents who are afraid that their kids are going to fall down. It's like, you've asked them 5 times, let them fall down, and guess what? When he knocks himself.
Oh, let the gays get married, society will fall apart.
But I wonder at some point, at the deepest parts of the mechanics of this country, the people running it are running from a fear that's a certainty. There is no civilization that has ever been on this planet that hasn't fallen. Is that truly the fight that is really going on? That we're doing everything in our power to keep this, to have a civilization that would never fail?
Well, I think it's interesting.
Because it can't. There is nothing that doesn't have a beginning that doesn't have an ending. So is that truly one of the basic roots of what's going on with our government right now? The people in power are actually fearing the end of our society?
No,
or
Perhaps
I don't think that long term.
You don't think that's
No,
okay?
I think
Thank you,
how
then.
much can I make this year, this month,
Right.
next month?
Yeah.
I think that's the motivation. I don't think, if you look at politicians in America, I think you could count on one hand the ones that think or act in terms of long-term possibilities.
All right, so if you take capitalism, couldn't that absolutely destroy the civilization? Because capitalism,
Well, there's tension.
unabashed and free to run wild, would destroy society in itself, wouldn't
There's
it?
tension, but
If it's unregulated,
but
yes.
doesn't-
And what are we doing about regulations?
Yeah, well, we're moving capitalism in that direction, for sure.
But isn't it tension that makes our worst angels bubble up? Isn't it that tension that does that? Without that tension and that conflict, how are we ever going to see this stuff? I find your choice of words interesting when you said that the people that are in power, the people that are in control, we are in control.
No.
No, we're not.
No,
We
we're
are
not.
in control.
Do you
Well,
think you are?
I'm not ready to abdicate my power. I'm not. I'm going to do everything that I can to keep saying I'm
Yeah,
here.
but I can't do anything
I'm-
about the Supreme
I'm in
Court,
this
honey.
country, and I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to give us that impression that they are in control, that they have the power, right? And they're doing these horrible things.
No.
But
Since
that's why they're afraid,
I
because
would
they
say-
know that they know that they don't.
I would say Citizens United made that very, very clear. So Citizens United says, Exxon and you are
Are
equal.
equal, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you
And their
believe that,
money is equal.
go on,
Yeah.
fine. But if I'm Exxon and I can put $100 million into something that I'm interested in, and you can do what you do, and we say, well, we're treating you the same way, fine.
only way
But
to
But for
undo
you to
that-
think that you're still in control
You
after
can
a
undo
dis-
that.
after a
Yeah.
decision like Citizens United and the money that's funneling in from areas that we don't even
Only
know.
things like national strikes. We ought to be
Reject
having
it.
a
Absolutely
national
reject it.
strike
So-
all across this country on the Ides of March,
All right,
okay? And we ought to be doing it again on July the 4th,
And if
okay?
we weren't
Where
pushed to do it, we're not
everybody
going to do it.
stops.
And
So-
we have to be pushed to do
so
it.
to
Yeah.
take
Yes.
all three,
Then we have power.
if what you're saying is
But it's in
absolutely
the
correct,
conflict.
Xerox, let's just use them. Xerox, the owner of Xerox, that pulls the levers, that push Xerox to go where it goes, let's say billionaire, trillionaire, whatever that term is now, that would be the person that's controlling this conversation, wouldn't it?
Controlling this conversation?
Controlling what's going on in your life.
I would say that there are larger forces pushing against one another that we're caught in the middle of, as opposed to your statement that we're in control.
Right.
I would say that I would go back to, if I was going to put it in religious terms, I'm not a particularly religious person, but if I had to pick one, I would choose Greece, because it seems to me like the human condition makes more sense if Zeus is arguing with Hera and they get into it and we're stuck in the middle of it, then that explains the human condition. And so I think that in terms of political terms, if Silicon Valley thinks one way and the military industrial complex thinks another way, and then we have the political PACs that are trying their interests, and the algorithms that are popping up
That's a whole nother
and the
world right there.
algorithms that are popping up on social media. All of those, it's like you're in the ocean with all of these currents going around. To think that, and I think. Ultimately, I think theoretically, ultimately, you're correct. But what they're all jostling for is for that vote. But your idea that we are in control, I'm very, very skeptical about that.
But these people are going to die. We're in control as long as we have our Constitution. All these people are going to die. All these kids that are like Trump's kids that think they're so entitled, and these techno people that think that they should be the ones that are running the world, they are all going to die. And with them,
their kids.
Their ideology is going to die with them. And what's going to remain?
Wait a minute.
Us and the Constitution. That's
Wait a minute. The question, though, is they're going to die, or will you die before they die? Because in your scenario, when they die, they take their ideology with them.
That's right.
What if you die before they die?
But the Constitution will still be here. It'll still be here, and there will be other people.
But the Constitution
in my mind is just, it's infectious, and it's, can it be destroyed? I don't know. Maybe
you're
that's
discussing
a conversation.
in my viewpoint, you're discussing from an emotional than a logical, because the Constitution is constantly being challenged and changed every day.
It's supposed to be amended. It's going to be challenged. Again, this
Look
was
at
never.
abortion rights, though.
We know
50 years ago, we changed something.
But that was never made into an amendment. That's where they fell short, in my opinion. They should have taken that all the way and got that supermajority and had it amended, and then they wouldn't have. But it was ripe for the picking. And we knew they were going to go after it because they never shut up about it from 1973, did they?
And
They kept going
taking
on
apart
and on.
of the government
We knew they were
and all
going
the
to do it.
regulations they've been working on.
This is the kind of
also
thing.
Since
This is what I'm
before
saying. It's
Reagan.
like now we know
Since
that
Nixon.
should have been
But
enshrined, right?
that means
now
your
we know.
Constitution is under attack.
attack, yes.
It's always
been
going to be under attack.
So if they play a longer game than you, that means
Yeah,
this
they're going to
Constitution.
die. They're going to die. And with them, their ideas are going to die. Look, you look back at like 1770, right? When 1770 post Civil War and the blood and the vote,
What about
they didn't
Rome?
want the votes for the blacks, right? They didn't want the vote for the Heather Cox
What about
Richardson did a great
Rome?
thing on this. These landowners, the elite Southerners, not the everyday Southerners, the elite Southerners wanted to keep the vote. So they stopped saying, I don't want black men to vote. They started saying, I don't want dumb people to vote, knowing full well that the blacks have been denied education, right? This is their political opinion. They raise a generation of children who now in 1780 believe that they are entitled to this. This is not just my political belief. This is something that I'm entitled to. And what is there an uptick in 1780? Lynchings. Now they're taking this political idea that's now in my DNA. But guess what? All those guys in 1780 or 1880, they all died.
I just have
right?
a question for you. One question. So you don't believe, as a civilization, we will ever fall?
Rome fell after how many hundreds of years?
You mean the
Right.
America or just humans?
Oh,
Well, let me
The
put some
Aztecs.
context. I
You
wanted
think-
to brief. How many saw the PBS? It was just on in the last 6 months about we are the evolution. Homo sapiens.
Yes.
We're the last. And in this whole series,
There's nothing to
all the
evolve to.
other Homo
And
erectus
why- and-
out there,
and-
they've all died.
But why did we rise? Do you know why we rose? According to some
It's
scientists,
because of our
teamwork.
brain.
We were the ones that we are, they call it the
We need
survival
society.
of the friendliest.
We need
They
society.
said that we were the one group that decided that
That's
we
true. That's
needed
what it
each
is.
other and that it was through teamwork that we were gonna do better, and we did.
But you know
So
also.
how is that concept not in complete contrast with this silly thing that they're trying to create, this divisive approach to controlling everybody? It's never gonna work.
But
We're
you know what they
still
never
too new in
mentioned?
the evolution, though.
In that evolution, did they ever mention apex predator? Every society has
It's the
apex.
pecking order,
Thank you.
okay? It's the pecking order.
Well, this conversation
Sorry.
has been amazing. No, and Sue, what I hear from you is you have hope.
I refuse.
And hope is contagious.
Hope is a good thing.
And
right?
hope
Yes, it is.
is what gets me up every day,
Yeah.
makes me vote. And I will say the one difference between a corporation and you have a vote.
Yeah.
Corporations have money. I've worked for many of them. They've tried to manipulate the vote. Ultimately, each of us has a vote. And as long as we continue to have the numbers of participants in voting, we will have crazy minority, crazy thinking people make inroads into. But I want to leave you with this thought. I interviewed Dr. Yvette Stanos. She was part of she worked with Fauci and others during the AIDS epidemic. And I posed this question to her, and it was shocking. COVID-19 was two evolutions, two changes away from ending everything. Theoretically, COVID-21 is what the scientists were biggest fear from, having a 90% death rate, rapid death rate. So we can worry about our politics, and we can worry about the world's drama, and we can worry about all of that. But the actions of the world in preventing, controlling, realizing, and working together
It's together.
to protect us from what is
That apex.
clearly around the next corner, all scientists think that way, is something to think about as we worry about two people yelling in the hallway when two people have always yelled in the hallway.
Exactly.
If you watch Ken Burns, the founding fathers spent years rewriting and changing the Constitution to get where it was today. It wasn't 5 minutes, we're all done, let's sign it
And it
and
was probably
leave.
a lot of arguing.
A lot of
discussion.
arguing,
And all
which
of
is
this stuff
always
comes
helpful.
out of conflict, doesn't it? All this movement forward, it's what
Exactly.
comes out
Hey,
of conflict. Without the conflict.
conflict is not
Sadly-
a bad thing.
And you know, this
It
thing with-
causes people to participate, have views, and get involved, which is
Right.
what we get out of doing this. And I want to
And
thank
ju-
everyone.
And just a little encouragement. Most everything that has been done with executive orders.
Yeah,
Nothing
which
has
are-
been put through Congress,
Right.
really. So the next
Undoing
person
it
can
is
undo
easy.
it.
Well, and I saw a great presentation from some people way smarter than me and said, when a group comes along that tests the boundaries, if it doesn't break, you become stronger. It's kind of like going back to COVID. if you survived early in the day and you got through it, you had some level of immunity. You were better and stronger. And I pray and hope that our government and our society is learning where the weaknesses are and how things are done. I guarantee you, the next 6 months in the House of Representatives, you're going to see a whole plethora of Marjorie Taylor Greenes pop out because they want to get reelected. They want to have the power, they want to have a
Because the
say,
blue wave
and they
is
know the
coming.
people are going to vote them.
They
And
could be
so
voting on
Get
that
out
right
there.
now.
they're supposed to be trying
Going
to.
right
So
now.
guys, thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it. Thanks for showing up today. We're always looking for new people. Remember, our next meeting is at the Democratic office, noon, on Wednesday, 5th or 7th of January, but it'll be put out there.
7th, I think.
So stay
And
safe.
we'll do the rest.
Next meeting is the 2nd of January.
No, the following Wednesday. No more until January.
That'll be January
Thank you.
7th.
Thank you for
7th.
challenging.
Okay? So if you could help put the chairs away, thank you for that, guys. And we'll catch you next time.